Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure, have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Stay tuned for politics and religion.
There's been a big conflict waged for some time because there are plans to build a very large mosque at the location or very near the location of the World Trade Centers. Now, remember, let's rewind the tape back to 9/11 when Muslim terrorists rammed airplanes into the World Trade Towers, killing about 3,000 people. Now, if you were Muslim, would you then think it was wise to rub salt in the wounds by saying, oh, we're going to build an Islamic center here? Since Islamic people killed 3,000 people here, we're going to build an Islamic center here. Now, what's behind this thinking? Is this rubbing salt in the wounds? Is this gleefully saying, look what we did, this was the first shot for the conquering of the United States of America? Or, as some people are arguing, but this could be an instrument of reconciliation. I mean, if your loved one was killed by 19 terrorists and the last words that came out of their lips just before they killed 3,000 people was Allahu Akbar, I mean, would you feel good about a monument to their religion being erected at that particular place? Well, that's exactly what the plan is. Here's what happened yesterday. Angry relatives of 9/11 victims last night clashed with supporters of a planned mosque near Ground Zero at a raucous community board hearing in Manhattan. After 4 hours of public debate, members of Community Board 1 finally voted 29-1 in support of the project. 9 members abstained, arguing that they wanted to table the issue and vote at a later date. The board has no official say over whether the estimated $100 million mosque and community center gets built, but the panel's support, or lack of it, is considered important in influencing public opinion. Holding up photos of loved ones killed in the Twin Towers and carrying signs such as Honor 3000 911. No mosque. Opponents of the proposed Cordoba house on Park Place called the plan an insult to the terror attack victims. You know, even if there's no sinister motive behind this, is it good taste? I mean, if someone in your family was guilty of murdering someone, would it be wise for you to move in next door to the people that lost their loved ones? You didn't do it, maybe, but part of your family did. Or would it be more respectful to keep your distance and to build your mosque somewhere else? A lot of people think that that would be the wise thing to do, but not the Islamists. They fully intend to turn this huge event that changed the world into a positive for the Islamic movement, the Islamic faith. The article goes on to say, that is a burial ground, said retired FD New York Deputy Chief Al Santora, referring to the fact that victims' remains were scattered for blocks. Santora's 23-year-old son, Christopher, was the youngest firefighter to die that day. I do have a problem with having a mosque on top of the site where terrorists can gloat about what they did, said Santora, with his wife, Maureen, by his side. So the emotions are running high. The board voted 29-1 to say yes to this. Now, what's going on in these people's minds? Is it an attempt to mollify, to try to establish peace with these groups? And will it work? I think you should check with Israel before you decide whether compromise works with Islamists. Because Israel's found out that every time they make a gesture of goodwill, it's not appreciated, but it is considered a sign of weakness, and therefore they should push harder. I'm afraid that's exactly what is going to take place here as well. But if nothing changes, there will be this $100 million mosque built somewhat as a memorial. To whom? To those who died or to those who killed? The United Nations was designed from the outset to be an instrument of global governance. What is needed for a world government? Are the necessary structures in place for effective global governance today? We'll look inside the UN and explore if it is ready to rule the world. Stay tuned for Politics and Religion.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it.
Well, I had an interesting experience today. I needed to make a trip to the barber after being overseas for 2 or 3 weeks. And I stopped in, and as I was waiting there for my barber to become available, a couple of very friendly, gregarious people came in and immediately took the initiative to introduce themselves to me, and I introduced myself back to them. Didn't tell them who I was, but just exchanged names. So they sat down for a little while, and immediately the conversation went to, of all things, politics and religion. Now, I'm sort of sitting to the side, and these other 3 people are sitting here, and they say, well, you know, there's 2